evening, freaks. I'm here to give you a wild card weekly collective vibe check read straight from the hip with lots of lip. And I got kind of an interesting download coming in for this week for the collective. It's actually an album. Jane's Addiction's Nothing Shocking came in, and I was guided to give a read according to the song list on on that particular album. So we're gonna go through each song title, and I'll kind of like just give a little info for those of you who are unfamiliar with that album, what the song was about, the general feel of it, and then we'll we'll get the information for the collective based on the song. Kind of unusual, I know, but this is what's coming in, so I'm just gonna flow with it. I'm gonna have fun with it. First of all, let's just talk about the title, Nothing Shocking. I think that that's really at the forefront for the collective this week. Nothing shocking at this point, right? I feel like there's going to be many different towers kind of falling. There's truths coming out. Our eyes are being opened to certain things. I think some of the most shocking things we're discovering are aspects of ourselves, ways we've grown, ways we've shifted, how we view things differently, how certain things that used to really like get under our skin or used to work us up just don't seem to affect us anymore. I think some of you may be seeing this sort of like the same old song and dance coming around in your general atmosphere. You notice that people are kind of like doing the same old stuff they've always done, maybe trying to get a rise out of you in some cases, but yet you're not feeling the charge of it. Like to you, it's just like, oh, here we go again, you know. There's sort of like a boredom with it, a certain sense of apathy in the collective to, have to go for another round of the same old drama. I think people are just feeling sort of over it, tired of it. There's this big, strong, building urge to just cast off anything that has a sense of repetition to it, wanting to really move into new energy, not being surprised by some of the outlandish things that are being revealed because it's not so outlandish anymore. It's like things have kind of degraded to a certain point where, nothing's shocking anymore. Some of you have already had to really integrate a lot of heavy experiences. A lot of you have had to integrate some intense betrayals over the past couple of years. It's been a lot to process. There's been a lot of losses. Been a lot of intense transitions. And in some cases, total reinvention in your life. So now it's just sort of like the playing field's been leveled. It takes a lot more these days to work you up or get you to move out of pocket. And again, I'm just feeling this like sense of boredom around it. Like, is that it? Like, that's all you got? So I feel like you're in this place where it's ironic. It's sort of like people have held back the tower for so long that now by the time it finally falls, it's almost like a formality. There's like no bang to this tower. This tower is anticlimactic. And I think a lot of you are also kind of feeling like you don't care that the tower is falling, you realize it's good for it to fall. It gives you a sense of freedom. It gives you a sense of liberation that has been missing from your lives for a while. So I actually like this energy coming in this week. It feels good. It feels productive. It feels cathartic. It feels playful. It feels a little less serious than some of the tone has felt recently. Bottom of the deck energy, we do have 4 of clubs. That's coming into alignment. All right. So we're finally getting the memo. We're doing what works. We're going with the flow. We're not resisting things anymore. And it feels so much better when we just kind of do that, right? When we don't fight what is and we just sort of show up for what's present and flow with that the best we can. We see that the blockages, the things that were holding us back, are clear. That has everything to do with us releasing, sort of this self-protective stance. It's like once we do that, we see all these different opportunities, options present themselves to us this week. Okay, so like The more you can let go and go with the flow, the more you're going to find yourself coming into alignment with the opportunities that are meant for you at this time, collective. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. All right. This is all about moving away from the disappointment, the sense of loss. Like I was saying, I mean, nothing's shocking anymore. It's like, yeah, we've seen the worst of people. We've seen how bad it can get, and we've all had to integrate some heavy experiences here with the Scorpio South Node action, but it's like it's boring now. It's like you can only look at it so much. You stay in a rut too long, and you find that the rut has the same dimensions as a grave plot. Okay, like at some point you got to pull yourself up out of it. You got to start living for what's in front of you right now, and I see a lot of you doing that with the Ace of Clubs. You're taking some action this week, okay? Some action, it lights your fire. It sparks a new way forward for some of you. You may be sparking the burning of some bridges you just don't want to cross again. And I think a lot of you are really lighting the match to anything that brings more stress, more drama into your life, because you're realizing like life is too short. I can't spend any more time invested in this. It's lost its charge. It's lost its charge. And we see that, we were held back in these cycles for a long time with the 8 of spades in the shadow. We may have thought other people were holding us back. What we really realized, what was holding us back, was our resistance to the truth of who these people are, or um, who these people are, in relation to who we thought they should be or would be. It's more our ideas of who we thought these people were that were the problem, rather than really acknowledging what was there. It was also our resistance to acknowledging the truth. It was our resistance to accepting things the way they were. And it was because of this that we held ourselves back, falsely believing it was other people holding us back simply because they weren't in alignment with what we wanted to do. They weren't in alignment with how we thought things should turn out. They weren't in alignment with who we thought that they would be. And so who's in the way if that's the case? If you're feeling like somebody has to compromise themselves and their own truth to become who you think they should be, you're the one holding the situation back, because just like you're not willing to conform to somebody else's ideals for you, the same applies in the reverse. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that. I think a lot of people are starting to realize the futility of resisting that. Some people aren't, and that's what you're going to see. I think there is sort of like a little influx of this energy just with Mercury retrograde. It's just natural. Like old issues come back around the bend one more time, and it's sort of like to give us an opportunity to reflect on how much have we grown. Have we gotten over this, or are we still going to kind of approach things in the same way? All right, so I see a lot of you are over it. Nothing shocking anymore. Nothing could shock you. You've kind of really begun to realize that maybe you're okay with what had to be released, and that kind of shocks you too. So I feel like a lot of people are getting their bearings this week. They're being prepared to take a new action. They're charging forward in a way that they feel impassioned about. Something that's got the spark lit again, and I think that's a very good thing. Yeah, and we're moving away from this stuff. We know that there's going to be some deception revealed. All right, we know that we're going to have some truths kind of like shoved in our face, some ways that people didn't necessarily have our backs back there or were loyal to us. But we're also going to recognize the ways that we can really trip ourselves up and be disloyal to ourselves when we allow our focus, our time, our energy to be distracted by such nonsense. I mean, obviously, somebody is going to betray you, they're going to betray you. Somebody's going to try to rip you off, they're going to try to rip you off. And it's up to you how much space you choose to give that person in your life by continuing to, want them to feel some level of accountability for it, or to feel sorry for it, or whatever. All you can do is just kind of like cut your losses, move forward, take the lesson, don't make the same mistake twice. And that's how we avoid, trapping ourselves with this Queen of Hearts energy. Okay, some of you may be dealing with a Queen of Hearts, that's water sign energy. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. This may be like emotional manipulation, okay? But you also have to think about the ways that we emotionally manipulate ourselves, convince ourselves to stick around for stuff that really isn't in alignment with where we're at and what we want to create in our lives, right? This is about taking personal accountability, to listen to your own heart, to invest in your own heart's wisdom. With that water element, it's all about trusting your own intuition, trusting your own feelings, being authentic about that, and if you're living in a way that's out of alignment with the truth, who you are or what you truly desire, it's about having the courage to like bear that heart, speak that truth. And that's what sets you free, okay? Gets you moving forward. And that's what also brings you into alignment with another two hearts. Okay, so this is really coming forward for the collective this week. People are realizing where their heart lies. Some people are separating, okay, with this bend in the two of hearts, and some people are coming back together, with another they've been separated from. Y'all, have to pick what side you're on. But there's definitely something shifting here. And one thing's for certain, everybody is moving forward. And these towers that everybody has been bracing themselves for and preparing for, we've all been hearing about these towers, but really these towers are like the most anticlimactic like towers that ever, because we already knew all of this was going on. Like, that's what's so funny. It's like, it's almost like the collective has sort of turned a blind eye to all this stuff, just hasn't wanted to look at it, but it's known all along what the story was, so it's like by the time it hits, you've already like kind of braced yourself for it, right? Oh, it's all good that you're late. Oh, well, that's cool. I'd love for you to stick around for the whole read. Yeah, good to see you, Ken. So yeah, this is just one of those things where I don't think it's as shocking. It's not as shocking as we've, anticipated, because we already know this, so nothing's shocking. And we've already had so much revealed to us. And yes, this of course applies on our interpersonal level, in our relationships, but it's also on a collective level, right? Worldwide. Would anything really shock us at this point with the way things have been going? I don't think so. We've all had our minds blown. So we're using the basis of this Jane's Addiction album, Nothing Shocking, for this read. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this read. I've never done a read like this, but this is about called forward. So the first song on that album is called Idiot's Rule. And what that song is about is it's very much about conformity, the way that, it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. Um, how we just kind of mindlessly follow our leaders, and the danger of that when you stare too long into the abyss, you kind of become the abyss. You become that very thing that you oppose, or rather you find your similarity in that which you oppose. So I thought this would be a good jump off point. So what we're going to look at is, where does the collective need to break out of their conformity? Where do they need to rebel? And I bring that in because, we've had that Pluto in Aquarius energy going on that is all about rebellion. It's about personal revolution. It's about the dawning of the age of Aquarius. So we got to start looking at where we've kind of tied ourselves to false leaders, where we've given away our authority, our own power to act in our lives. Where are we conforming, and how do we need to kind of rebel personally, collectively? We'll just see what comes out here. I mean, I think personally, I think it's the whole system. I think that's part of the problem. Like, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans. No, it's the whole structure, man. Okay, that's just my opinion. I had a card fly out right there when I said that. That's just, I think anything where you're getting into a polarized position is, that's automatically something that's going to create division. There is no way to resolve that as long as there's your side, my side, us versus them. It continues to create further entrenchment. Now we've got a crossing energy here. We got Queen of Diamonds, that's Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. That's all about us moving up into that Taurus North node, which is about what we value, you know, what has meaning for us in our lives, it's time for us to really consider this. What is worth our time? What is worth our investment? And it's about being honest about that, even if where we want to invest our time, our energy, what we want to grow in our lives goes completely against the grain. Hello, Amanda. Good to see you. It's time to buck the system. You gotta follow where you're being led, what's important to you. Maybe what you see needs to change in your own life is something that other people won't be able to relate to. Maybe it goes against what they value. Maybe you want to do something that sort of puts you in a position where you're like the black sheep of the family, or where you're the one who's like, um, somehow breaking the mold, and that causes some kind of upheaval, disruption. It could even be with a line of work that you want to head into, okay? And you want to do something different. You want to do something that can influence society in a more empowering way. You have very unique ideas. They break the mold. You can apply this on many different levels in your life, but this is about you coming to a place of really understanding what you value at the end of the day, and how you want to show up in the world, and what is worth your time, and what is worth your energy, and what isn't, and where you need to trim the fat on that, where you need to stop investing in things that are out of alignment with your integrity, whether that be a person, a place, a thing, something you're working on, something you're developing. So I really see that this is coming forward very strongly. That we also have to think about how we earn money. Like, this is coming forward very strongly. I keep getting messages about the economy, and all of this has been coming in over the past couple of weeks really strongly. But especially got activated by that full moon. I've been feeling it really intensely, and I'm not sure why that is, but so many of the downloads have been coming forward in that direction too. And I feel this is also about that. It's like, what do you really value at the end of the day? Is it just about things? Is it just about possessions? Is it just about what you can obtain? Is it about status? I think we're being asked to value something a little deeper. I think we're being asked to like scratch the surface, go a little deeper, think about what has true value, true meaning in our lives, and that's where we need to really start to invest our energy. So it's not just like the blind leading the blind and kind of going after what's considered the quote unquote American dream, but yet it leaves us feeling hollow inside. There's something we're being asked to do here about really aligning with our higher sense of value, our integrity, and really standing in that and representing that in the world. Okay. The next thing the next song up on that album was Mountain Song. Mountain Song is all about um, holding back what you feel about things, holding back your opinion, holding back your voice, holding back your truth, holding back your expression. And how when we hold back, that this is the source of our pain. It's what creates more sense of pain and separation in the world. Whereas if we brought those parts forward, then there could be a different outcome. So let's and I see it's like Mountain Song. That makes me think of, it's that mountain that we all have to climb. But it's ironic because in that song on that Jane's Addiction album, Nothing Shocking, he's coming down the mountain. Okay, so it's like, I've already made this huge climb. Like, we've made this huge climb together collectively, and yet we still have a hard time being real with each other, right? We still have a hard time just like speaking our truth, coming from that place of integrity, letting those things we're afraid to reveal really come forward. So, what is the collective being asked to bring forward at this time? What do they need to speak into existence instead of allowing it to hold them back in pain? What is the collective needing to communicate at this time? What is the collective needing to bring forward at this time? So it doesn't feed the pain, doesn't feed the sense of separation, but instead creates a sense of solution, a sense of unification, bringing things together more smoothly instead of everything that creates a false sense of separation. All right, we got coming up in the light here, we got 7 I love it, seven of clubs, but it's in the reverse. Okay, so this is about, yeah, think about those hills you're standing on, you know, the things that you defend, you know, the things that you're willing to fight for. Are you really fighting for something that's worth fighting for? If you think about it, think about your most intractable situation you got going on in your life right now, where maybe you're dealing with somebody on the other side of the equation who just sees things very differently from you. I mean, Ken brought in, you know, Democrats, you know, so like that's a primary example right there. Just looking at the ways that things are so polarized, right? Everybody's so like just burrowed into their individual positions, not willing to give and combative over it too, you know, and thinking about these kind of things. Is it worth it? You know, is it worth it to be so polarized in the need to be right? Are you so sure you're right? Is everybody so sure they're right? You know, there's like these kind of things. It's more about looking at what is your piece that you can hold. What is your piece that is your non-negotiable? What are you willing to really stand for? And I think this is really about looking at some places where maybe we've been too entrenched in our position, maybe not being willing to see the view of another, maybe just thinking there's only one way of looking at things, our way, and not looking at what other people feel and how it may have validity too. And that's sort of what we need to do at this time if we're going to be more solution oriented in general, not only in our personal lives, but collectively as well. As long as we stay in this position where there's no ability to see another person's perspective or to look at things a new way or come up with a new kind of solution or compromise, things are just going to be like stuck in this gridlock of people standing in their very defensive positions, not willing to budge. So you are being asked to look at where maybe you're being too defensive, too guarded, too stuck in your point of view in your situations that you're dealing with in your life and not willing to see other perspectives. Ken says the full moon made me feel antsy, hyper, speedy, constant goosebumps, I guess. Don't know how to explain it. No, that makes sense. Makes sense. Your senses were heightened. It was a Scorpio full moon, okay? And it was also a penumbral lunar eclipse. So there was sensitivity there. Also, it was opposite Uranus. So that creates a lot of unpredictable energy, kind of like this heightened, it can create that sort of heightened, like, ooh, I feel like something could come at me, you know, that kind of energy. Also, we have to look at with that Scorpio full moon, that amplification of that Scorpio energy. Scorpions are very sensitive, right? I mean, just think of a scorpion and the way they have that stinger up. In fact, I titled my full moon read, I called it Feel the Sting. Okay. So it's like right before a scorpion stings, the reason why they get in that posture is because they feel threatened, they feel vulnerable. You know, scorpions are one wrong step from you and they're a goner, you know. So it's like scorpions are very low to the ground. They feel the vibrations of things, you know, they feel that sensitivity, that constant awareness of the movement of energy, and they're at the ready, you know, to pull out that stinger if need be, but they always pull out the stinger when they feel threatened or they feel vulnerable. So I think, Ken, you're just tapping into that energy of a lot of people feel like that right now. We've been through a big period where we've been dealing with a lot of shadow stuff coming to the surface. We've also had a lot of unpredictability, a lot of kind of like having the rug pulled out from under us because we had all that Saturn square Uranus action went on last year. Okay, so it's been a bumpy ride, and not to mention just, you know, everything that's been going on in the world over the past couple of years. Okay, so people are pretty frayed, nerves are very frayed, you know. I like to look at it as like the collective energy is sort of like a giant nervous system. You know, if you think about your own nervous system and the way your own nervous system has been affected over these past few years with everything that's gone down. Now, imagine that like transposed onto the collective and amplified by every single person on this earth, you know, because we've all been feeling it. It gives you an idea of the energy that's in the atmosphere. Okay. So it's very natural. Hello, Joy. Good to see you. it's very natural for people to be in this like kind of guarded, hyper aware state, like preparing, preparing for the worst. Okay. But this is like almost coming through right now. Like, I feel like just a confirmation of you can let down these defenses because, like, the album that I channeled was Jane's Addiction. Nothing shocking. Like, you don't need to brace yourself for something, something horrible to come that you can't anticipate. It's sort of like saying nothing shocking at this point. Like, everything's been revealed to you. Like, all the truth is out there. The only thing that's causing any kind of blockage or stagnancy or disruption is your resistance to it. That's it. You don't need to brace yourself for anything shocking. It's all there. The truth has been revealed. It's all there for you to see. It's just your resistance to the truth at this point that's what's getting in the way, and having this defensiveness around it. It's like, once you acknowledge the truth, you accept the truth for what it is, good, bad, ugly, whatever, you can release yourself from this self-protective stance. Okay, now I know what's true. Now I know what to do. I can kind of like drop down these defenses. I want to open up to life again. And I want to move forward, take my pearl of wisdom from the experience and move on. We do know that you all are rising up into your sense of worth, your sense of self-worth, and that's good. But it's about also remembering, the wisdom of what you've been through, so you don't kind of like fall into old patterns. And when truths are revealed to you, as this is going to continue to happen, I mean, we just got to be prepared for this. We got a couple more years of pretty intense astrology. So anybody who tells you everything is going to smooth out and it's all going to be great is just not being honest. We still have a lot of work to do collectively, okay? But are things opening up? Yes. Are things starting to improve? Yes. Are we getting some forward momentum? Yes. Is it also a very karmic time? Absolutely. We're at the tail end of Kali Yuga. Is it a time when there's going to be towers? Mm-hmm. We're going to have a lot of truths revealed to us. It needs to happen. It needs to happen so we can rebuild and there can be any hope of moving forward into a better future. All right, the next song was Jane Says. And Jane Says is all about, that like trauma bond love. It's about allowing someone to treat you like a rag doll. It's about the way we let people use us, let people abuse us, allow ourselves to be discarded, why we do those things that we do. So we're going to get a little guidance for the collective in the area of, the love department. What is the collective needing at this time to release these things that are holding us back from really being able to connect on a heart-centered level, to connect in a real way, to stop acting out of our trauma, to stop acting out of those guarded places in us and just sort of like repeating these patterns. What do we need to do to really be able to come into a place of real love, man? I'm thinking, well, now I got more music. I don't know, it's big music day for me. Now I'm hearing real love, Mary J. Blige. It's like, that's what we're all looking for, right? That real love. Something that can set the heart free. That's what we're looking for. Mary J. Blige knew what it was about, Jane took a different approach, she let Sergio use her up, man. She did whatever Sergio wanted her to do, just so Sergio would give her the time of day, what are the ways you're compromising yourself in love collective? That's what we're going to look at here. Woo! Well, we got a couple things that flipped out right there, both in the shadow, more shadow. Ooh, lots of shadow. Lots of shadow. All right, we got a lot coming up. It's challenging. It's interesting because some of it is flying over that Queen of Diamonds card. Okay, so this is stuff that's coming up in the area of love and romance that's challenging our sense of self-worth. Okay, and you have to be prepared that during this cycle, this is going to happen. It's going to happen all through eclipse season. You're going to be tested, man. Did you really learn your lessons? Have you really discovered a sense of self-worth? Have you really learned the value of your time and your energy and how important it is that you invested in what really like fulfills you, what doesn't just take from you, but also pours back into you, and how that reciprocal flow is so important. You're going to have old situations, even if it's not that person you were involved with before. You're going to have new people come around that are wearing those same faces. Okay. It's like the same situation, just dressed up, in a different way. And it's going to be up to you to really have your metal tested. Did you learn your lessons and the experiences you've been in before? Are you going to just accept anything that sounds good coming your way? Or are you going to challenge it? Are you going to challenge it? Does it live up to what it can be? Because you do have some stuff heading your way, and not all of it is in the light. All right. In fact, everything on the board here is in the shadow except for one thing that's in the light. And we'll discuss that. I'm going to set that aside for a moment. You might have a king of clubs approaching you, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is an energy that's very much invested in itself, wants what it wants. It's all about its self gratification. Highly independent energy, non committal. Won't tell you that though. Won't tell you that though. We'll tell you exactly what you want to hear, okay? So it can get what it wants. That's how that energy moves when it's coming up in the shadow. Woo! And then we got a jack of spades coming up in the shadow as well, okay? This is about action. This is taking too quick of action, hasty action. This is about acting impetuously. This is also air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Okay. So this is about moving forward very rapidly. This is like, don't lose your head. Okay. Don't lose your head because the loins are on fire and ready for some action. All right. Don't lose your head. Don't think with a little head. That's also what that's about. Men out there, this is about being mindful about the way you move and what'll actually get you. Okay. We see here we got the four of diamonds also in the shadow. Okay. This is how we end up in codependent dynamics. This is how we end up in runner chaser dynamics. You got somebody comes in, they're hot, they're heavy, they want to get you in bed as fast as possible. Oh, it's so passionate. We get that serotonin hit, we get that dopamine hit, we got all the hormones flowing, the pheromones are going off, and we think, oh, it's just magical. It's so magical to be in the moment, just to go with the flow, right? But what we don't understand is this is the same person that'll turn around and they'll book it just as fast as they came in with their promises with the jack of spades. This is somebody who'll go ghost on you, leave you hanging, leave you holding the bag, not returning your calls, not returning your calls, not being available to you, always being busy, leaving you on red, right? So there is this energy here, and there's sort of a need to let people show you what they're about. You can't just take people at face value at this time. You can't, all right? And we see that. Look at it. And we got, you'll be left lacking. They'll say the words, all right? They'll say the words. It sounds so good. It's all just pillow talk, okay? With that jack of hearts coming up in the shadow with the five of diamonds in the shadow. This is disappointment. This person will come in, they'll get what they want, and then they'll be gone. In some cases, I got this person is somebody you've been with before. They just want to prove to themselves for ego gratification that they could get you back if they wanted. And you succumb to this, and then it's like they get their little hit, they get their little energy hit off you, and then they drop you again. Because you got to understand, for this person, it's not about anything having to do with the heart. It's all about ego. And it's all about the balance of power, and they get off when you're in that subservient position. So you're going to have to use your mind about this, and not just get caught up in the heat of the moment, or caught up in your love for this person. For some of you, you really love this person, you have a lot of love for this person, but it's not the same, and Maybe you need to question that. Do you really love this person, or are you attached to this person? Is there an energetic attachment to this person? Is this something addictive in nature because it has push pull dynamics all over it? And I mean, the best way you can tap into that is, does it feel good? Do you feel good? Do you feel in your element? Do you feel empowered in this person's presence? Do you feel more like yourself in this person's presence? Are you allowed to be who you are in this person's presence? Or do you find yourself posturing, having to conform to being a certain way so you'll be acceptable to this person, right? There's a lot of stuff to unpack, look at here. You'll know who this person is, though, because they put you in competitive dynamics before with the Five of Clubs. You've seen this happen before. This has already been illuminated for you. This person likes to pull in other parties and get you all fighting with each other because it strokes their ego, right? This is somebody who pulls in multiple people, stirs up a big drama, and then they sit and they just get to enjoy the show and feel like, oh, everybody's fighting off of me. It's very ego driven, all right? You've been in this mess before. You let this in, you'll get back into this mess again, okay? So you're being advised in those cases where this is the score, and you do, if you allow yourself to get pulled into this, you can't blame anybody. You have to take responsibility for that. Yeah, absolutely. The real love is lost with all that, right? I mean, it's not worth it, obviously, if it's real, it's not going to put you in a place of competition. And I just have to speak to the women out there, women, ladies, when you get put into a place of competition and you're participating in that drama, I want you to ask yourselves, I really want you to ask yourselves, who are you really competing against? Is it really about the guy? Is it? This is something y'all men should know too. Is it really about the guy? No, it's the women are trying to best each other. Now, in this effort for this guy to kind of have his ego stroked, it's not about him anymore at all. It's just the women are all fighting against each other. Hello, Natasha. Good to see you. So that's what it's really about. So even they're not really even getting anything out of it. Like, it doesn't make the guy look good, and in the end, the person who stirred it up by causing this competition ends up being the one nobody wants anything to do, So the whole thing is silly, but this is how you'll know. Okay. Anything that puts you in a position like you feel like you have to compete for their attention, their affection, it goes on either side. Okay. Flip flop genders as you need to. So guy, girl, don't matter to me none. Okay. Um, this is somebody who will put you in that kind of position. They put you in that kind of position before. All right. Expect to have this come back around the bend. Expect to have these people come out of the woodwork telling the same old story, but just a little dressed up, a few more adornments, to maybe try to lure you in this time once again. But if you think it's going to be different, it won't be, okay? You really have to get people to show you what they're about at this time, right? So important, all right? The next thing we got that was on the Nothing Shocking album. The next song was Ted, Just Admit It. And I love it because Ted is my sidekick. Ted, is there something you need to admit to the collective? Is there something you've been up to? This is really a song about, don't try to deny it. I got receipts, there's photos, there's video. In the collective's tech cases, there's text, there's proof. It's like I said, nothing shocking at this point because you all have already got access to the truth in one way, shape, or form. You've gotten access to the truth. What's held you back is the resistance to what the truth is, all right? But now there's more like vocalization, communication about the truth coming out. That's what's coming front and center because we got to close this stuff out. And so eventually there does have to be a clear out, right? So I think some of you are going to be confronting somebody. You already know the truth in this situation. Some of you are kind of testing the waters. Okay, is this person going to tell me the truth? For some of you that have old loves coming back around, people you've dealt with in the past that you had issues with, friends who are wanting to mend friendships, whatever your case may be, family relationships, you know that somebody didn't move right back there. You knew that stuff was done behind your back, that it was intended to be kept hidden from you. You discovered what was going on. You got the texts, you got your receipts, you got your proof, and you're kind of, seeing, you're going to test the waters with this person. You're going to see, is this person going to be honest with you? Are they going to come clean about everything that happened back there? Now, in cases where there are reconciliations, and some of you will be having reconciliations at this time. We've been talking about this, about how there are, soulmates coming in. In some cases, it is reunions with people, whether those are reunions with old loves or reunions with old friends, or even, repairing rifts within the family. Okay, so this stuff is coming in some cases, not in every case. Sometimes reunions aren't to like reestablish the connection, but they're simply for closure. Some of you will all be dealing with that too. Now, a good way to know if you're meant to have further connection with this person is obviously if you're hearing them out, they must mean something to you, right? Okay. But are they able to look at what happened back there? And are they able to be honest about it? Are they able to communicate about it? This landed on the floor face down. It's the Joker, okay? And it's in the light. I think this is something that you can't see right now. I think there's something you can't see right now. I'm getting, I don't know why I'm getting this with this, but I'm getting big tears of a clown kind of energy. I think there's somebody that is going to be coming back around the bend that wants to heal with you. I think this person is a bit of a joker. It may look to you like they don't even care that, you all aren't talking anymore, that you're not interacting with each other anymore. I think this is kind of like a brave face that they put on. I feel like this person kind of had some difficult lessons. They were sort of forced to look at their own shadow. I feel like this person has had the tables turn on them. They're looking at things in a different way. It's sort of like a little bit of divine humor. The shoes on the other foot now. Some people are having this kind of situation emerge in their lives, and it's actually a humbling experience. Okay. They're seeing the ways that, maybe they thought they were getting over on somebody else or teaching somebody else a lesson, but they actually taught themselves a lesson because they really realized, I wish I would have, treated this person better. Some people are having these kind of awakenings. And there are some of these people that are coming back and they do want to, really genuinely heal things. Um, I don't think you're looking at that though. A lot of you are in very defensive posturing when it comes to people from your past approaching you. And I get that. And at the same time, it's like sort of a key for being able to move forward into the future is to be able to receive people from the past who have closure work to do with you. That's how you clear up the karma. You get a chance to move forward. I think you're actually going to be surprised, and that's what you can't see right now. Out of all the different people that are coming your way, I mean, there's definitely some ones that you need to be aware of, and there's also some that have really transformed their behavior. So this is really a test of your own intuition and your own ability to trust yourself, to be able to read the room and also utilize the wisdom that you've learned, from your experiences with these people in the past and the ways that you've grown. I just really feel it's about not just letting somebody say all the right things. It's about how is this person showing up? And they'll show you how they're showing up, and only you can determine what's right for you. It's about you making the right choices. This person may try to conceal some things from you. I got that because this was on the floor. They might try to pull some funny business thinking like it'll slip past you. I think that you'll be able to see through it. I think you'll be able to know when people aren't being honest with you. I'm just curious. Let's see. This could be about like third party situation. Maybe you already know that this person, was involved with somebody else or brought something else into the mix. I think that this person had too many options. I think at one point this person considered you an option. There's something here though, that this person realizes by putting you in that position, it wasn't like the big win they thought it would be. I get that this person thought that you would play along. Maybe this person thought that you would fight for them and you didn't. You kind of just said, whatever, you know. I'm sorry, you find it funny. You're like, whatever. You know, I think you were really balanced about this with the two of diamonds. You're like, okay, that's cool. If that's what you want, you know, for me, I'm not about all that. You know, I'm good. I'm just gonna go off on my own. Nine of diamonds. I'm gonna do my own thing. I think you feel fine on your own. I think you know what works for you with the three of diamonds. You're not willing to compromise that. This is coming. Oh my God. Yes, this is coming in very strongly for air sign collective. Look, back to back. Queen of spades in the shadow to queen of spades in the light. I think you went through a bit of a transformation process, air sign collective, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. I think at one point you were really pissed off about this. I think you might have been very cutting with your words. You might have been very harsh. I think you might have gone really cold at one point. I'm just going to keep it real. There's probably a lot of people who called you a bitch, you know, maybe thought you were being very unreasonable. Maybe a lot of people that didn't understand why you cut them off the way you did. Some of these people, you just like, you didn't even want to hear them out. You're like, I'm out, you know, I am out. But I think you had your reasons. I think you had your reasons with this nonsense here, but I think you've gotten over it. Okay. You look like you're a little bit more balanced now. I think you needed to find your balance. I think you were pretty heated for a while there. You got so hot, you had to go cold. You know what I'm saying? You had to cool it off. You had to go cold. That's how air signs deal with things. If things become too heated, you know, they're just like, no, you know, we can't have that. It just makes logical sense. If it's getting too hot in here, if everything is getting too agitated, too aggravated, we just got to cut that off, man. We just got to cut the cord on that. I think you did cut the cord. I think you cut the cord rather harshly, though. I am picking this up. I'm not feeling like air sign collective. I don't think you're totally innocent. I do think sometimes your words were too harsh. I know they came from hurt, but it doesn't matter. It's still hurt, you know? That's what I'm saying. It's still hurt. It still hurt for people to be cut off the way they were. But I think you were just in a place where you were so pissed off. You knew that that's what you had to do. You had to cut the cord. There was just no other way around it. I feel like you're in a more balanced place right now. It looks like you've done your shadow work, okay? You're now balanced out again. You might be more receptive to hearing these people out. Yeah, we got the nine of clubs, okay, coming up in the light. Maybe you see ways that you kind of have blocked things from coming your way, air sign collective, just by being too guarded, you know, just anticipating the worst, expecting more of the same from people, which doesn't really give them an opportunity to show you who they are now. This could be particularly related to people you've been associated with in the past. I think you had a lot of fear with the nine of spades in the shadow. I think you had a lot of anxiety just with these people even being around you because of what you'd already been through in this situation. I think you felt there was a lot hidden from you too. I think you could feel that there was a lot happening beneath the surface, behind the scenes, that doesn't exactly spark trust, okay? But we do have this hidden as being reversed. So something is coming to life here. And here we got the, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Look at this. We got it for the masculine, for the air collective too. Look at masculine in the shadow, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, now in the light, transformed. Okay, so same thing. This is coming through very strongly. This also lets me know that this is a couple. This is somebody that you were involved with in the past. Okay, it could be romantically, it could be a business partnership. There's many different ways that this could play out. Only you know. We know that security was involved. Maybe both people were too guarded. They weren't speaking their truths with each other. They weren't coming from the heart. And this is what caused this situation to kind of fall apart. Yep, with the 8 of Hearts, walked away because there was something that was never communicated. Okay. But somebody is now ready to open their heart. They're ready to express themselves from the heart in the light. Okay. Water sign energy, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And this is somebody that you dealt with in the past. It's a soulmate with the 6 of Hearts coming around. You had a rough ride with this person. I think there was a lot of shadow in this relationship, picking up Scorpio energy very strongly with that. Yeah, this was a love relationship where things really went sour. This love relationship took you to a place of darkness. In business prospects, this was a situation where you did business with somebody and you really felt like they ripped you off. They took advantage of you, maybe even ran away and with your ideas. You were supposed to partner on something. They took it all, took credit for it. Okay. I see it playing out both ways. We have both significators on the board in matters of the heart. I think where things really got out of pocket, it was because this person was ruled, they were ruled by their desire. Like they wanted to play the field, they wanted to get it in. This person may have had a lot of sexual partners. There was some kind of infidelity, something along those lines. Okay, looks like that was sort of front and center, and there was a lot of disappointment in this situation. But something is coming to light here. Are you kidding me? Look at this. Joker in the light, Joker in the shadow. This is being transformed. There's a little divine play. There's a little divine play going on here, okay? Little divine play going on here. I feel like tables are turning. That's what I get. Where somebody thought that they could keep you in a position of sort of, being held back, staying small, that ain't gonna work. I feel like there's some transformation. I think you've really found a sense of, self-esteem. I think you had to go through a lot of growth, in this situation, just looking at your own part in it, looking at the ways you've compromised yourself. I think things are different now. I also feel like this person's different now. You've both changed, okay? Maybe you both realize ways you've held each other back in the past. I think there's an ownership of this, ways that you both weren't totally genuine with each other, ways that maybe you fed into this unhealthy pattern. And that's why it wasn't the happiness, the fulfillment that it was supposed to be. Something's come to an end in this situation, okay? And that old cycle, it's a good thing that it ended, because you don't need more of that, all right? There is something that you need to refuse, and there's something that you need to accept. I can't make it up. It's so funny. Look at the polarities. It is so wild, like shadow and light, You got opportunities coming in for you. This is where it's going to get tricky. This is where it's going to get tricky because you got past opportunities coming back around the bend for another go, okay? One is for you, one is not. And it's about making the right choice. Making the right choice. Air, fire, fit, factoring strongly, okay? Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, okay? So these might be forefront players in this situation, all right? Very, very interesting. There's growth possible, okay? There is growth possible with the 7 of Diamonds, and there is a new beginning possible as well with the Ace of Diamonds. But only one of these opportunities is legit, and you're going to have to feel out which one is the opportunity. Little tricky, little tricky. Okay, so the next song on Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking, is Summertime Rolls, which is all about summer love and being with that person you love and everything opening up and just feeling so beautiful. So we know that there's going to be some kind of new beginning in love, in relationships, might be an opportunity coming back around the bend for the collective. We also know there's going to be some stuff coming back that we should say thanks, but no thanks on. So that's going to be up to you. Have you learned your lessons? Are you really, looking at what's showing up here in this moment? Are you projecting, looking at what happened in the past and just automatically accepting more of the same? Are you ready to open your heart? Do you still have too many trust issues? All of these things. Are you going to, move impetuously, or are you going to let things develop? Are you going to let this person show you who they are now? Actually, let their actions speak for them, and your actions speak for you too. It takes two, okay? But I do feel like there's going to be a lot popping off in the love department in the summer, and especially once Aries heads into that North Node position. All right. So let's have a look at that. What's coming in the summer in the love department, since it wants to come in for the collective? How we move now is going to affect what develops in the summer. So, in terms of matters of the heart. So, oh, looks good. We got something coming up in the light here, crossing influence. I told you. I told you. We got Ace of Spades coming up in the light. It's all about what you release right now. There's something you need to release to be able to have the love that you desire. It's going to be up to you to know what that looks like. All right. You're going to have to figure this out. There has been a betrayal here. And the thing you really want to be mindful of is the way you steal opportunities from yourself by clinging to things that you really should release. There is a true love opportunity that is going to be coming your way in the summer. All right. It comes from a pure place. I believe it's some kind of invitation to take things to the next level. It's an actual movement forward. Okay. Jack of Hearts energy, water sign energy, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. It is an opportunity to come into partnership with the Two of Clubs. You may not have seen this coming, but you know, this is somebody that you've had an involvement with in the past, all right? And it's in the shadow. You had a negative experience with this person in the past. You blocked this energy in the past with the Two of Spades, okay? And you wished for it, but it wasn't all it was cracked up to be, okay? Some of you made a wish for something that just actually just put you in the position of being an option. Maybe you thought that this person was, who they said they were, and then you came to find out it wasn't the case, all right? With the Seven of Clubs coming up in the shadow, all right? There was a lot of disappointment around this. Something came to light. It was a big disappointment, right? And it made you choose to, invest in yourself because you realized that that's all this person was invested in. They weren't really considering what was good for you. Definite lies and betrayal here, okay? Something coming up around water collective here, right? And there's something you've been healing from. There's been a separation here and something that you have been healing from. What's the top of the deck on this? Yeah, I think, in this case, where you have somebody approaching you, and this is again, it's like kind of giving you a clue about what to refuse so you can welcome in the real love, all right? Whatever kept you in the dark and was a burden for you, wasn't real, wasn't upfront for you. I feel like this is something that you released yourself from not too long ago. Don't go and invite that back in thinking that it's going to be transformed. It's going to be something different. It won't be. Oh, this reading, I can't make it up. It won't be. It'll go right back into the shadow. It's going to be a burden again. It's the same old, same old. Okay. So this is really about when you know it's done, you know it's done. When you know somebody isn't being real with you, you know. Okay. And it's about stop playing the game. Stop indulging in this and like making excuses for bad behavior. That's what I really got. There is some genuine love offer that wants to come in the summertime. But if you're in this place where, you're still kind of putting up with the same old shit, how can you expect anything to be different? And then are you going to continue to blame that person when you keep letting them back in the door? That's silly. That's silly. That don't make any sense, all right? So you have to be mindful about what you invest in at this time. I feel like this was a connection. You're going to know who this connection is because in the past, you did all the heavy lifting in the connection. Like you're the one who always made the plans. You did most of the emotional caretaking in the relationship. You did most of the calling, the reaching out. You were the one showing up and they were phoning it in, all right, on the real. And the reason why is because they had other people, they had other options. They considered you an option, and that was kind of the problem. Are you going to allow yourself to be an option again? Only you can decide, okay? But if you refuse to do that, if you let go, if you put an end to that, what comes in? I'm going to do a cut of the deck energy here. Oh, I love it. Okay. Look, this is just drama. Okay. So by throwing this 5 of clubs in the shadow in reverse, walking away from this, knowing if you know that if you let this in, it's going to be nothing but the same old, and you'll know. You'll know that it's just going to put you in a position where you're going to always be having to compete against someone. There's always going to be some drama. This person's going to put you in a third party dynamic, and that ain't what you want. I'm not talking to people who are like in a poly lifestyle and comfortable with that. This is clearly talking to somebody who ain't down with that, doesn't want to deal with that. Okay. If you choose to walk away from that, look what you get in the light. Your true soulmate comes in the summertime, right? It's about you maybe forgoing that instant gratification. I don't think it's necessarily going to be easy for you all. Okay, this test is not going to be easy for you all, because the real deal, it's about foregoing a little instant gratification right now to close up things properly in your life, to do things the right way. You do that, you align with integrity, you make the tough calls, you stay in alignment with your truth, you release what you need to release so you can move forward in such a way where you can be proud of the way you're moving forward. You know that you're moving forward in a way that's in alignment with your spirit, it's in alignment with your heart, where you're also being mindful of moving forward compassionately, okay? Doing the right thing, focused on growth, focused on healing. You do that work, you're aligning with a soulmate in the summer. Or some of you, I mean, we just got to keep it real. We do see the shadow came up for half of you there. Some of you are going to choose to go for another round and engage with the drama. If that's what you choose, just be aware that when that comes back around the bend, don't complain about it. This person's already shown you who they are. This is a test. Have you learned your lessons? It's about really being mindful of that at this time. Did you learn your lessons? Okay, let's see. I feel like I need to pull out different cards here because I'm running out of these cards. I'll use these for clarification if I have to. Let's see. What do I want to pull out here? What do I want to pull out to look at? Had a dad. We're looking at daddy issues. Just as I say that, bottom of the deck, King of Swords. That's a big daddy issue. That's a big daddy energy. It reminds me of that kind of Saturnian energy, Saturn and Pisces, right? What are we working on? We're working on learning how to have a little bit more fluidity, right? Not being so stuck in our ideas of the way things need to be, not being so disciplinarian, not feeling like we have to daddy other people, right? Not feeling like we have to mind what other people are doing, tell them how they should be living their lives, tell them how they need to conform to our desires. Let people be who they are, let people show you who they are. Don't try to force a fit. Don't try to force people to, acquiesce to your desires. If they don't want to do what you want to do, if they don't want to get down with you, whether that's personally, romantically, on a business level, whatever. If they have different objectives, different desires, don't try to force a fit, man. You got to accept who people are. All right. This is about having more fluidity when it comes to that energy. Had a Dad, that song Had a Dad is all about daddy issues, okay? All about daddy issues. And I'm really picking it up for the collective. This is coming through. How do we learn how to sort of let go of the places where we feel like we have to micromanage others, where we have to micromanage their choices, and where only our choice is the right choice. We have to decide what's best for us and execute those decisions in such a way that leaves no guessing room. Okay, this is also about clear communication. This is about having the strength and discernment to be able to cut off what doesn't work for you, what doesn't serve you, and not have to make it about the other person at all. It's like, okay, it's not for you. Why does the other person have to be wrong? Maybe I get it. Maybe they were wrong if they weren't honest, if they weren't upfront. Okay, that's not really cool. But you also can't force that person to feel sorry for their actions or to apologize to you or give you anything. I mean, the more that we can be empowered in our own choices and move through life in this way, the better off our lives will flow, right? And so it is also about just really respecting the truth that's showing up at this time, not resisting it, and going with the flow and trusting that, hey, sometimes I get blocked. What I want doesn't come into being, and it's for my own protection, right? So let's look at the daddy issues coming up for the collective right now. A lot of you feel like Saturn is being a bit of a taskmaster. You feel like you've been doing so much work. You've been working so hard. You haven't seen the kind of growth that you desire. You don't know what's up. What more could you possibly do? I think a lot of you are a bit antsy for the reward at this time. You're sick and tired of waiting for things to develop. I feel like a lot of the collective has felt like they've been on hold for too long. They're just really wanting to see some forward momentum in their lives. They're wanting to see that it's like, okay, I've done this work on myself. I feel like I've had to release a lot already. There's so much I've had to let go of. Like, isn't there some kind of reward that comes from this? Ted, of course there is. Look at it. Can you have a little faith? It's just going to take a little bit more time for things to line up. We got the star coming in with the pool, all right? Your new beginning is on its way. But again, it's that piece like you got a test, all right? Did you really learn your lesson? It's important. Did you learn your lesson? This is what's on offer to you, all right? It's going to be presented to you. There's an opportunity coming your way, all right? It's for a brand new start. It's to open up a whole new chapter. For some of you, yes, this could be a chapter in a relationship that maybe went through a separation period, went through something rocky. For some of you, this can be retrieving a lost opportunity, maybe something that the timing was off back there. Maybe you felt it was sort of star-crossed, like this thing is never going to come together. Now things link up. It's time, okay? But there's also this piece that, there's certain things that you had to go through. And there's certain things that had to be released so you could cleanse. So you could cleanse and sort of like purify yourself of all that stuff within, like the story that you tell yourself and your false impressions of others, your false impressions of yourself, things that no longer serve you, insecurities you have. This is just really about doing a lot of healing and cleansing work, is what the star is about. It's about spending time alone, usually through a very heavy period, a period of loss, a period of, in some cases, depression, doing a lot of internal reflection, kind of fumbling your way through the dark, trying to believe that there can be light in your life again, that you can find happiness again. But this is a card very much about healing, healing and using that time to really be self-reflective and understanding your subconscious influences, ways that you fed into situations, um, truths about yourself that you need to acknowledge, things that you need to integrate. And I see you all have really been doing this work. I do see it. You've been doing this work. You've done a lot of purification. You've cried a lot of tears. You've kept the faith. You've been doing the work and hoping for that new beginning. I think a lot of you are a little bit weary. You feel like, oh my gosh, it's been so long. Can we just have the reprieve? Like, where is that sun that you promised me? It's coming, all right? But what you need to understand is that you're actually holding it up. You're holding it up. You're refraining from taking a particular action. You're refraining from letting something go. You're refraining from taking that next step. And it largely has to do with the last little bits of, the past cycle that you have yet to cleanse away. You still have some clearing work to do. As soon as you're really ready to acknowledge the truth to yourself, what you know to be true, and you're willing to act on it. And, for some of you, it's a radical leap, okay? Because some of you never got the truth in your situation. It was just what you intuited, it was just what you felt. You didn't have what you needed, in your eyes, which for some of you, you think that is about the other person's confession. Okay. You're not always going to get that. You're not always going to get that. And at some point, it has to stop being about the other person. It has to be about you. Like, what isn't feeling right to you? What is feeling out of alignment to you? What is not true for you? Do you really need the other person to affirm that for you? It's what you're feeling inside. So at some point, you have to really trust yourself, right? You have to trust yourself and act on it. It's all about the leap, man. It's all about the leap. Yes, take the wisdom with you, as that dog cautions. It reminds me of the Ted Says song. Ted, just admit it, that came before. That's what's actually holding you back. That's the dog nipping at your heels. It's like you feel like you were done wrong by somebody. You want that person to admit it. You want that person to come clean. You want that person to tell you the truth. You tell yourself, if they could just tell me the truth, then I could be free and then I could move forward. But that's kind of like a way that you lie to yourself. You already know the truth. You already feel the truth. Why do you need them to tell you? Maybe this person will never be ready to tell you. You don't know that. You don't know where this person is on their path in their own internal process. Maybe this person hasn't even admitted the truth to themselves. Maybe they're still busy blaming you for everything that happened back there. Maybe they've justified their actions in their mind. Maybe they will never own up to the truth. Okay. You're holding yourself back with that. You got to cleanse yourself of that need, that desire to have this person make things right with you or settle the score with you, have things paid off, balance in full. Okay, I need this person to do this healing work with me. I need this person to give me this closure. You're not always going to get that. And it's the very thing that's holding you back from taking this leap and taking the action into your future. So this is about you really being honest with yourself about that, about how you use that as an excuse to stay in your safe place, which is sitting here waiting for another to save you from this rut that you've got yourself in. This is about you being empowered and saying, no, I don't need that from that other person. I know what's true for me. I know what I feel in this situation. I know this doesn't feel right. I know this doesn't feel good. I trust my perception and my truth in this situation, and I'm going to act on that and taking a step towards something, anything that's inspiring you to move forward at this time. And that's when you're going to start to see what you're hoping for come in. Oh, yeah, look at this. What happens? Boom. Everything gets moving with that 8 of Wands. Then things get moving. Then your opportunities come in. Everything frees up for you. And a lot faster than you think. Look at this with the Knight of Swords. Everything moves forward very quickly. And in fact, it may not be in that case where you're wanting somebody to just come straight with you, be real with you. Okay, you're holding yourself back from getting the very thing you want. It's not until you take this step forward that boom, here comes that person. Wait a minute, I have something I need to tell you. It's like you waiting around for it is what's preventing it from coming in. There's this thing with desperation. Okay, like you can smell desperation on a person, like just from miles away. If you want something so bad, it's like you can push that thing away, because if you think about it, wanting is a very greedy, like grasping energy. If there's nothing relaxed and empowered about wanting or needing something from somebody else, it just isn't. It's not attractive. It's not attractive. It's a repelling energy. Grasping at things is always going to be a repelling energy. And certainly with Saturn and Pisces, you gotta learn how to be more fluid, how to flow with things a little bit more. Be like water, as Bruce Lee would say, And it's that very thing that you're wanting, like somebody to just take down their guard, somebody to get real with you, somebody to speak from their heart. Well, look, it comes in, but not until you get off your butt and move forward and stop waiting around for somebody to give that to you. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll see it show up. Look at how beautifully it shows up with the King of Pentacles. Okay. Earth sign energy. Now we got earth and water. What do we got when we got earth and water together? We got something that can actually grow. We got the Ace of Pentacles can actually grow into something when we got earth and water in the mix, okay? Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, big Taurus North Node energy. Look at that with the Hierophant here coming in, right? That's how we rise up into our destiny. We don't put our life on hold. We don't wait around for somebody to give us closure. We don't wait around for somebody else to make it right for us. That's putting our life's power in somebody else's hands. It's about you choosing that it's not right for you and not putting your life on hold and trusting your own guidance about that and taking a step forward. And it's funny. It's like once you take that action, everything you want lines up for you. Boom. Here's your new beginning with the Magician, represented as that Aries energy, that Aries North Node that will take over that Taurus North Node position in Leo season. What do we got right behind it? Boom. There's that Leo energy. Okay. The sun. All right. It's all about those nodes of destiny. It's lining up with that Aries point when you get the true manifestation of your destiny. I love how they show up again. Here we go. King of Swords. Okay. Air sign collective, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. It's about being decisive. It's about honoring your truth. It's about looking at things plainly. It's about not making excuses. It's about cutting off what doesn't serve, acting from that place, cutting off what you know is toxic, cutting off what you know is unhealthy, cutting off anything that makes you feel bound, chained, stuck, held back, anything that feels addictive in nature. And you already know about this. You already got the memo about this, High Priestess. This is about trusting your intuition. Ted just said, yes, trust your intuition. Let it guide you forward. You got to let what you're feeling guide you forward. Everything is happening on the subtle levels right now, okay? And again, fire factoring strongly as the character in this scenario where you may be dealing with some conflict, okay? Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, somebody acted on their own behalf and they didn't consider how that would affect anybody else, okay? There's something about, putting this energy on rest. Stop waiting around for this person to make it right. Stop waiting around for this person to tell you the truth, okay? It's not going to happen while you're standing guard. It's when you move forward that it comes in, all right? It's when you move forward that it comes in. So what I see is by the time that comes around, you've already let it go. You see what I'm saying? This is about you. It's about you closing the cycle and not waiting for somebody else to close it for you with the Eight of Cups to the death energy. It's about you choosing to not stay in the shadow any longer. Instead, go forward and follow your heart. And again, you're freeing yourself from this competitive energy and these fishy frickin', offers that are suspect, and moving into your own independent energy with the Queen of Wands to the Nine of Pentacles, okay? By investing in yourself, knowing your worth, letting your own fire of passion and inspiration drive you forward, okay? What happens? You come into alignment. And that's what works. You see that? It all happens in Leo season. Big Leo energy coming in very strongly here, okay, with the Strength card. This is triumphing over the lessons of the past, all right? It's finally knowing your worth and your value as represented by that Empress that tames the beasts of burden from the past. She does so sensitively. She does so empowered, calmly. She doesn't need to be dramatic about it. She doesn't need to fight for it. She isn't thrown off balance in any way. She knows her worth. She's an independent energy and she's prosperous in that energy. She builds for herself. She's in her element. This is all about rising up into that Taurus North Node of destiny. This is what brings you into alignment with another, your true soulmate. And again, it's that timing. It comes in the summertime at the change of the nodes of destiny. I'm telling you, that's when you come together with your person. That's when you come together with your person, but it's about you valuing yourself enough that you get up from the table when love's not being served and you don't put out a place card for it. You got to keep it moving, man. You know the truth. Why do you need this person to give it to you? Why? Why do you need to hold their feet to the fire? Let them do the work. You know, it's interesting because there is this knight. There is this not knight. There's a king of wands and a queen of wands energy, but it looks like there's individual cleanup work to be done between them. And right now, that king of wands energy is still here at this page level. Okay, they haven't even taken the first steps forward to straighten this mess out. These energies are looking in two different directions right now, right? This is about investing in yourself and letting things come into alignment at the right time. Okay. People have their own work to do on their path. I was so codependent. Getting closure for ourselves was really powerful. Got so much energy back when I let go. Yes. Everybody's afraid to let go. It's like you shouldn't have to hold on to something so tight if it's meant for you, you know? And yeah, you may have felt like something really deeply for somebody. It may be hard to let them go because you got so stuck, in your pictures and your ways of seeing things. And for some of you, for this to come in around the hat of dad, okay, for some of you, this may very well revolve around daddy issues. Like, what role did your father play in your life? And that applies for both men and women, okay? What role did your father play? Was he a very present father? What did that teach you about men? The role that your father played in your life. How did your father show up for your mother? What was that all about? How is that reflected in your dynamics, in your relationship dynamics? There's something to look at here, and there's something about breaking free of this image of your father too, either that you're trying to get people to live up to because you really had an amazing father, and you just find that nobody can even match like the integrity, the quality of a man that your father was, and you kind of expect everybody to fit into his mold, be just like him. And if they're not, then you shoot people down. You don't give them an opportunity to show you who they are, or maybe your father was absent. And so, unbeknownst to you, you keep drawing absent people to your life, people who can't show up, people who can't be emotionally vulnerable. Was your father very strict? All of these things. Just look at the relationship with the father. There's some kind of work that needs to be done here surrounding the father in relation to matters of the heart. Daddy issues coming up very strongly. Also, I can see this in business. Maybe your father having a certain idea about what it meant to be successful, what that career path should look like. Maybe you are very much an individualist. You have a totally different idea about what success looks like for you. You have a different passion, a different purpose in life. Maybe even you have a creative direction you want to explore. Maybe you don't have support from your father. Maybe your father looks down on it. Or maybe you're just in a particular career path, on a particular career path because it would please your father, or this is what you just do. This is what everybody in your family has done. They just all follow the same track. Now you're wanting to like buck the system. You're wanting to follow your heart. You're wanting to go in a new direction. Maybe you don't have the support to do this from your family. Maybe you're worried about how you're going to make it. Maybe some of you are, being threatened with like, well, if you go in this direction, like, I'm not going to financially support you in this direction. I'm not going to pay for that schooling, or I'm going to write you out of the will. Like, some of you are making choices in your lives that cuts you off from familial support in some way, but you know that I have to make this choice because this is who I am and this is me living in my truth. And I think that's very important that you do this. Okay. Yeah. For a lot of you, this is really going back to some deep childhood stuff, but with judgment here and justice right after this, this is your path of growth, and this is the path you're being called to now. It's like you got to answer this call. It's where your growth lies, all right? And it may be a little lonely for a while because you do have to go your own way with the hermit. Virgo energy showing up very strongly in this, okay? Because we did have that King of Pentacles energy showing up, okay? So this is like Trust the path, trust where it's leading you now, right? It won't lead you astray. And have a look at how much, your relationship with your father or certain ideals your father had, how much is that influencing your choices now? And see if you can gain some autonomy from that, so you can start to carve your own way. I'm flying through these cards so much that I feel like I need to pull out another deck now. Let's see. Next one we're looking at is Thank You, Boys. Okay, so this is an instrumental song. Okay, so it's kind of interesting because I notice, in the collective in general, I hear a lot. You're always hearing about the patriarchy. There's always a lot of negative talk about men. And, I just don't think it's really fair because, you know, not every man is a representation of oppressive patriarchal influences, okay? You can't put people in all in one category. And I think there's something that we need to look at here with Thank You, Boys, and it being an instrumental. Like, how do you expect to, be able to have that stability, that protection, that avenue, that support, which is what the masculine represents. Okay. If you're at war with the masculine, like, okay, we need both. We need masculine and feminine in order to have any manifestation in our life. The masculine represents the avenue or the way that the creative energy works through. Okay. But there's been too much of this like backlash and everything's so focused on toxic masculinity and all of this. I mean, I really wish people would just get over all the gender stuff. Like men do this, women do that. I mean, can we please stop looking at things so polarized? The more that we feed polarization, the more that we're disempowered, the more that, we keep ourselves at a disadvantage. We have to move beyond this. All right. You got to like let people show you who they are as an individual. Stop lumping people into categories. Stop saying all men do this, all women do this, all whatever, label it any way you want to, any label, any classification of a group of people according to some label. You're not allowing people to show you who they are. You're not allowing yourself to have an organic experience. You've already set up in your mind the kind of experience you're going to have by having these kind of rigid ideals. Okay, so how do we need to show more appreciation for the men in our lives? I think it's kind of an interesting thing to come in, but let's bring it in. Where do we need to have a little bit more appreciation for the men in our lives? And that applies for all of you, okay? Even you men, how do you need to appreciate, the brothers in your life more as well? That's interesting. How did that card end up in here? We got a shadow card that ended up in the middle of the angels. I don't even know how that happened. I'm going to take that, okay, because that's something that needs to be transformed. How does the collective need to show up for the men in their lives? How do we need to, support the masculine? I know not everybody will like me bringing that in. I don't really care. It's true. I'm personally tired of all of it. I'm tired of like going on Facebook and seeing in my feed all this stuff like women do this, women do that, and then on the opposite side, men do this. Can we just stop? Okay, so we got one shadow, one light card. So for the shadow card, we have Page of Wands. Ironically, it's the fire sign energy. Okay, isn't that interesting? Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Balaam gives answers concerning past, present, and future, can make one invisible. And it's in the shadow. Okay, so when I think of Page of Wands, I think of it as like kind of a more immature energy. I also view it as, sort of a more, just sort of, it's dealing with messages. So somebody who's just like, kind of like, maybe this person just likes to flirt. They just like to have fun. They don't take anything too seriously. And maybe you feel like this person works you a bit, and maybe this is just sort of the general idea that most people have about men at this time. Maybe there's too much of this like, who hurt you kind of energy, right? It's over here. The hermit again. Yeah, it's interesting. There's something we need to get a different perspective of about this, okay? We may, have these sort of like, we may have this programming in place, and we have to look at what happens online, okay? Because the algorithm is a huge part of the programming. So if you always got people putting up these posts where they're like bashing men, putting men down, having all this negativity placed on men, and really like kind of just putting men all in one category without giving them the opportunity to show up and show you who they are. It looks like we kind of are putting the past slapped onto the future, which is interesting to me because, yeah, I noticed that there still is that sort of like mindset. There are a lot of men out there who are still stuck, in these old modes of being. I see it. I see it all the time. It's social posturing. The main place that I see it with men is more the social posturing that they take on to appeal to other men. It's like men so want to have this, support from fellow men, that they're like, that they're strong, that they're masculine, that, they have that acceptance, among other men. It's very important, that camaraderie. And so I think a lot of times, who men really are can become sort of invisible because there's such a role that they feel that they have to play in order to be accepted by, their friends, their male friends. And I think it makes it hard, for guys to kind of like be able to move forward in an authentic way where a different side can be seen. Because I think there's actually a lot of men who put stuff out there, not because it's who they really are or how they really feel about things, but they've been told that it's not okay for them to do that. It's not okay for them to be vulnerable. It's not okay for them to, show who they are on a deeper level. And largely, what I see happen is that when they do allow themselves to be vulnerable, express themselves authentically, put themselves out there on a deeper level, most of the time it's other men who will put them down. It's other men who will make fun of them, or other men who will tell them they're wimps for doing that, or give them a hard time about that, razz them about that. They'll find a lot of support from women for opening up on that level. But then it's like, then you got like, women are validating them. And that's not empowering for a man. They want the support of like, they want the support of their brothers. That's what's important for men. And this is the biggest thing. Like, this is the biggest thing when it comes to men and women. And that women so often just do not get. Like, I'm sorry, ladies, but men do not think about things the same way you do. They do not. They do not. We look at things differently. We have very different experiences. You can't expect a man to emote the same way you do. They don't emote the same. They're different. Men have different ways of communicating. They have different experiences than you do. And so you can't expect them to be 100% on board with being how you are. Likewise, they can't expect you to, conform yourself to be like they are either. You don't understand, ladies out there, you don't understand the pressures that men deal with. Okay. You don't understand the pressures they deal with. You deal with totally different pressures. And so there's this need to sort of like come to a middle balancing point with all of this. There's a need to do a little bit of self reflection with the hermit, to look inside and, really ask yourself, how did I formulate my opinions about men? And can I understand that men do communicate their love to me, or they do communicate their investment to me, or they do communicate their feelings to me, that they communicate in different ways than I do? And it's that whole love languages thing, right? Getting through that. But I also feel there's a real need for men to also support men in being okay with allowing their feelings to be seen and heard, and bringing that forward without automatically shaming a dude because he does allow himself to express himself from that place. Again, though, that's not something that women can necessarily give men. And I have to say, I can't stand it when I see these things that are about empowering men and they're being led by women. It's like, no, like men need other men to support them in opening up to this. It's like so important. But we do see that there is an opportunity for alchemy and transformation here. That's what it says. The hermit, Iambia, word of God creating all. Alchemy and transformation helps with spiritual progress. So that's beautiful, you know? It's like if we can create a little room for self reflection, and if we can create a little room for understanding that we are different, okay? We do have differences. We do have differences in the ways that we communicate, and we don't have to make men wrong, you know? We don't have to like shadow ban men, okay? We don't have to shadow ban men and just automatically think, oh, you know, all men are like this, all men treat women like that. You know, we got to understand the complexity of the issues. And even in cases where we're dealing with men that maybe do kind of come off, you know, a stereotypical like bro culture, okay? We have to understand that a lot of that is related to, you know, social posturing, their own programming. So how can you be more supportive and not automatically like vilify somebody, go on the attack? How can you be more supportive and like kind of shining a light on maybe something this person doesn't see about their stance that actually allows them to soften and open up without you attacking, you know, going on the attack. Okay. I think there's something here about understanding that there's differences, you know, um, and understanding that there are men out there who are really trying to overcome those challenges. There are men who are working hard to open up. So I think you're going to be dealing with some men, you know, that are coming forward that maybe, you know, are trying to open up to you. And maybe the first steps they're taking toward doing that with this coming in as the Page of Wands, maybe, you know, maybe they fumble a bit. Maybe it's awkward. Do you need to go on the attack? Can you understand that this person is making an effort to grow, to open up emotionally, to express themselves? Can you create space for that? Can you be grateful for the opportunity to even enter into a dynamic with that person on that level where they are willing to start dropping their guard and understanding that it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's the intention and it's the effort and it's the desire that can really, you know, that can really be a transformation point in this connection. Maybe you're not in it all alone. Maybe you've just been holding too high of a standard for how you expect this person to approach you. You're not really honoring where they're at. Maybe you've only been thinking about your own feelings in the situation. Are you considering how they're feeling? Okay. Because somebody here is feeling invisible. All right. And that's what I'm really getting out of this. Someone here is feeling invisible. They're feeling like their feelings don't matter. So there's something about being appreciative when somebody is making the effort to try to open up dialogue with you, to try to work through something, to try to heal something. You know, maybe you don't have the same relationship you had before. Maybe it doesn't get on the same page, but there is something that comes out of the communication. There is something that gets illuminated. And there's something to be appreciated about somebody wanting to take accountability, wanting to make the effort, and that needs to be recognized. All right. So that's something that's coming forward here. Now, the next thing we had, we already kind of touched on this, but the next song on the Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking album was Up the Beach. And there was only like very simple lyrics, okay? Very simple lyrics to the song. And the lyrics were, here we go now, home, home, home. So we know that we're on the home stretch here, collective, okay? We're on the home stretch. We're wrapping up a very important cycle. You're at the tail end of it. You're about to move into action. I think you're going to decide on some action that you want to take this week in moving forward. It's different than you expected, and yet you know that this is the direction that feels like home to you, okay? And you're all taking these actions in different areas of your life. For a lot of you, it looks like matters of the heart are really front and center right now. I think that's pretty typical with a Mercury retrograde cycle. That's usually when things that weren't communicated properly or weren't closed properly, tend to come around the bend again. It's when we revisit certain issues. It's when we revisit certain relationships. It's when we get in a kind of nostalgic mood. And I feel like that's coming forward. I think a lot of you really feel this. We got the high priestess on the bottom of the deck coming up here. I think you feel this call. We have high priestess, God, the eternal, lasting success, protection from magistrates. Okay, so we know there's protection here from anything that would kind of like hold us back from moving toward what will really set us free. All right. We're not going to move ourselves into a position again where we let ourselves, get thrown back in the cell being our own rigid expectations, ideas. I mean, it's too late for that. Once we've had the tower fall, there's nowhere to go except into that great wide open and that new horizon and see where it leads. So where is home for the collective now? We're all being guided forward by our intuition, what we're feeling on a gut level. Where's home for the collective now? Where's the collective heading? What comes in this week that gives a clue about this? King of Wands. I'm telling you, air and fire are doing all the movement right now. It's really wild. King of Wands, Daniel, God, the merciful judge. Eloquence gives answers to those in doubt. I'm telling you. Do you see this? A lot of you are viewing somebody who's gone through a growth process is up leveled to the King of Wands, okay? Fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, very independent energy, in balance, knows who he is, knows what he's about, has no problem speaking his truth, will tell you anything you want to know, is ready and open for communication. You are viewing this person as a page. You're still viewing them as who they used to be. You're not honoring the growth. You've practically made this person invisible because you're not seeing them accurately. You're not seeing them for who they are now. It's not fair. You're looking at this person through eyes of the past. And this person's ready to tell you whatever you want to know. This person's ready to have a real communication with you, a real exchange with you. We see that with Page of Wands, but they feel invisible because you're not even looking at them accurately. All right. You're still wanting to like cast this person as the bad guy, or you're wanting to, pigeonhole them into your idea of who you think they need to be. And there's something here about you need to be open to allowing somebody to, show you who they are now. And there's something, obviously, there's some kind of communication that needs to happen here. I also feel like a lot of you fire sign collective, you're in no doubt about who you are. You've really come into the truth of who you are. You know what works for you. You're ready to go toward that thing that feels like home to you. You're ready to bring this thing home. I feel like a lot of fire signs are moving into action. They're not hesitating anymore. I think you know what you want to say. I think you're aware that there's some doubts that you need to dispel. Fire sign collective, you may have had a lot of people, speaking on your behalf. You may have had people who've spoken against you. You feel a need to defend yourself, to speak your truth, to leave people in no doubt about who you are. And you're not just going to pay it lip service, you're backing it up with action. And I think that's coming through very strongly. Fire sign collective, masculines, you're coming out very, very strong, okay? I do see you taking some powerful action. I do feel this has something to do with communication. You're reaching out to somebody. You're reaching out to somebody who feels like home to you. You want to get things back on the same page. Let's get some more information about this. What's coming in as a sense of home for the collective this week? Where's the collective heading? What's coming in this week in relation to this? Queen of Wands, look at this. You're coming into alignment with somebody. I'm telling you, this is a case where two independent people have done the work. They know who they are. They've addressed whatever unhealthy behaviors were impeding them in the past in terms of being able to come together with another. And now they're able to do so in such a way where they can come together as individuals, still retaining their own individuality without having all of that unhealthy enmeshment. We got a true pair here, okay? You're coming into alignment with your other half, collective. Queen of Wands, Alemia, the hidden god, divine power, guards against marital troubles. Well, this is nice. Okay. So this is, guarding against what would interfere with coming into union with another. Right. There's something that's interfered with two people coming into union with another. And I believe it has something to do with having fear of like being overpowered by the other or being in a weaker position than the other, feeling like you'd be taken advantage of by the other. There's something along these lines. I believe for some of you who have been in serious relationships, committed relationships, it's coming out very strongly for fire sign collective, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is any significant placement in the chart. This is really about you being in a position where you realize that relationship doesn't have to be the way that it's been for you in the past. That you can be in that position of self empowerment and you can come together with another who's also within their own empowerment. And it can be two whole people coming together, just enjoying each other's company. You know, there's something that's been transformed in this connection. I feel for some of you, this is a case of there used to be an unhealthy dynamic in a relationship where there was too much codependency. And there needed to be this separation to get a different kind of perspective, maybe for each individual to sort of find their own sense of self worth. And I think this person feels like home to you, though. You're coming together with somebody who feels like home. For some of you, this is, a person that you were in a serious relationship with in the past. You took some time out from each other. You're getting back on the same page, right? You both feel empowered in the connection now. There's been growth in this connection individually, and that's what allows it to come together now on a new level. For others of you, this is you, walking away from something that didn't serve you. You stepped into your independent energy, and because you have found your own sense of self-worth, and you found your own personal empowerment, and you feel cool on your own, like you feel good about who you are. You're not looking for somebody to complete you. You're aligning with somebody who can actually meet you on that level. And that's a beautiful thing. All right. Next song up on that album was Ocean Size, which is really about embracing that water element, embracing the fluidity, not feeling stuck in any of that kind of like real like linear view of how things need to be, but sort of being able to go with the flow, also opening up oneself emotionally. So let's see um, what's in store for the collective if we can just flow with things, if we stop resisting so much, if we stop trying to control so much, if we stop slapping our rigid views on people, on situations, and we allow an opportunity for things to kind of just flow naturally as they wish. What comes in for us? 10 of Pentacles with the 2 of Pentacles. Isn't that wild? 2 of Pentacles, Poyel, God who supports the universe, fortune and fame, fulfills any request. Well, then two people find the balance. They get on the same page. Then we find things coming together quite nicely to the tune of 10 of Pentacles, which is that sense of home. That is building that sense of home. That's coming into a place of stability, balance. It's when both people are building together. Okay. Big like relationship read this week. And yes, my light went out on me. I think that's interesting. I think we can't see this right now. We don't even think it's a possibility right now for two people to really get on the same page and build together. But I think that's because there's too much hanging on to old ways of seeing things. And this is what needs to be shed and released right now. If you can get a different perspective, if you can be open to like having a dynamic exchange and letting people show you who they are now instead of sort of like slapping all your experiences with past loves onto this present person, or and this can apply in any situation, just like looking at a present situation through eyes of the past automatically can limit it because you're seeing it as only having a certain level of potential. But the minute you can kind of cast that aside and let people show up as they are, let people show you where they're at now or what this opportunity has to offer you, you're going to find that there really is something to build on here. And both people are willing to invest in it. It grows into something. Ten of Pentacles, Manadel, the honorable God, inner and outer work helps one keep their job, protects against disasters. So, there's something that wants to come in. There's something that really wants to get established for you in your life. It's a new beginning, it's growth, it's something you can build upon. There's mutual investment. I also see this in regard to, work situations, financial situations. If you just give this an opportunity, if you trust where you're being led right now, if you do the work, which also for some of you in terms of like going after a career goal or starting your own business enterprise, it might require you to do a lot of inner work. Are you afraid of success? You know, are you afraid of failure? Are you afraid if I go after this thing that's calling me forward, if I invest in this direction, will my father be right? Since that came up back there, will my family will they be right? Will the people who are the naysayers now will they have their day of being like I told you so? I don't see that. It's really about you trusting yourself. It keeps coming back to that. There's been a lot of references to the high priestess, paying attention to your intuition, where your instincts are guiding you. If you really let that be your directive right now and you trust your own personal truth and you invest in that, do that inner work, you will see it manifest outwardly. You will see the manifestation. This is the pinnacle of success. Ten of Pentacles, right? But it's about you really investing in your true value point. What do you truly value? What are you truly wanting to invest in? Where are you being called to invest your time and energy? It's about being in integrity with that, not doing what other people expect you to do, not doing what you think you should do. It's about really being true to yourself to the core and investing in that. And when you do that, you invest with others, that are also on that same level. And then you build beautiful things. So this is really moving forward into a more prosperous and abundant cycle. It's also about building with another, getting on the same team with another. This is about, I'm picking this up a lot financially too, like really prosperous business partnerships, pulling your energy together with like-minded people to bring something really amazing into being, bring a certain project into being. There's something really positive that comes out of this, but it's all about having the willingness, to look at things in a new way. Look at things in a new way and take a risk where it counts, where your heart's really invested. It pays off, okay? But it definitely involves, going with the flow and recognizing when it doesn't make sense to continue to invest in something because it's just in gridlock. It's not going anywhere. You have to look at a new direction, And for some of you, that might mean bucking tradition, bucking tradition and, going from a small pond out into that big sea. But it's what gives you the opportunity to really come into a place of growth in your life. And I feel like that growth is not only outwardly, like in terms of just material manifestation, like seeing the money come in for those business projects, reaching a certain level of success or getting a certain level of recognition in your field. But I also feel it's what happens inwardly as well. That's a big up leveling, really knowing that you can trust your own directive and It's all about the life that you want to build for yourself, what you want to invest in. When you align your heart with what truly has value and meaning for you, that's when everything comes to fruition for you. So it looks really good. All right. Now, the next card next pile we're gonna look at is standing in the shower thinking. And this is sort of like what we've been doing. All right. I'm gonna pull out the super awesome future cards for these last two songs on this album. So standing in the shower thinking. And it's funny because that song, he's standing in the shower, he's thinking about all kinds of stuff. He's thinking about really important things like the big world issues, and he's thinking about really trivial stuff, stuff that doesn't matter. And as he's thinking about all this stuff, he's pissing, he's taking a leak in the shower, and sort of like washing everything down the drain, and it's sort of like the way we piss our time away, the way we piss our vital energy away, the way we piss our life away, thinking about things, just stewing on things, instead of like cleansing it from us, really clearing it out, and taking action, So I feel like it's sort of that message coming through. It's action time. That's what I'm getting very strongly. It's action time. It's time for you actually to take an action in your life. You got to get out of your head about things, and you actually have to get things moving forward. It's time to take an action. It's time to take a step, no matter how small it may seem. Because the longer you stay here just thinking about things, spinning out in your head, you're not going to get anywhere with that. And you may just miss the turn of fortune that wants to come your way. It's a good way to stay stuck. It's a good way to stay stuck and stay in that place, the blame game, where you say, oh, nothing's moving forward for me because this person's doing this, or this person's working against me, or I'm dealing with this situation. It's like the more that we just kind of stay in our heads and tell ourselves stories about our lives, we don't actually move things into action. We're actually working against ourselves. So I feel like we're being asked to take an action, to be brave. Yeah, look at this bottom of the deck energy, the rider, and look at home in the distance there. Like you're meant to, take your head out of the sand, look at things as they are, be honest with yourself about what is exciting you, what's drawing you forward at this time, and now take a step towards it. Okay, stop dreaming it. It's time to be it. No matter how small of an action you take. This has been coming up the past couple of weeks for the collective. It's being reiterated. So I guess there's still a lot of people out there who aren't taking actions. You're still waiting for, other people to show you the way to go. You know what? You got to just trust where you're being led right now. And even if you don't have proof, you got to just take a shot in the direction that feels like the best fit for you, what feels most right to you. It's sort of like sometimes you have to take a step and boom, that's the very thing that brings you into alignment. Look at that. We got infinity here. Okay. This is the thing that brings you into alignment. It's about trusting where you need to let go with that 9 energy coming in with the 3 and 6. Then you find all the support you need on your path that leads you to your manifestation and you coming into alignment with that thing that you've been wanting. And you're going to know it's right when it hits. It feels like home. It's a big win. 8 is about stepping into your power. 8 is about actually seeing the manifestation come to pass. It's no longer in your head. It's not something you're dreaming about. It's something you're living. 8 is also about balance. It's that infinity symbol. It's the promise that whatever cycle we end is followed by a new beginning. It's also, in this case, I'm noticing the Ouroboros, it's about digesting those old experiences, like doing what we need to do to close these old cycles, to shed the old skin so we can move into this alignment that wants to come forward for us now. Okay. But you are being asked to, root it in material reality. And the only way you can do that and start to get the energy moving in your life at this time is you've got to step out of the crossroads. You got to take a step, any step. Okay. It's so important. You can't stay stuck anymore. You have to start to move forward. It's so necessary. But if you do, it's like everything is saying you're going to be totally supported in this. It's all about having the courage to take the step that aligns with your truth, what you know to be true for you, and where you need to head at this time. Just one step. I promise you, you take a step, all the other pieces will show up for you. Okay. All the other pieces will show up for you. And the final song we had on the Jane's Addiction Nothing Shocking album was Pigs in Zen. No mud, no lotus is basically the message of that song. It's sort of about all that shadow stuff that we need to like slog our way through, everything that we need to transform, so we can come to that place of peace and where we really just find our sense of being at home in our lives and content, content with the present moment. Okay. So before we can have this unfoldment, before we can come to this place of really manifesting our new beginning and seeing how in alignment it is with what really is the activation of our purpose, really feeling like we're finally on the right track and how that changes our whole experience, mind, body, spirit. Before we can get there, we have some mud to slog through. Okay. So I feel like this is the last piece that we're approaching here. I think that's kind of the whole encapsulated message. There's a lot of beautiful stuff that wants to come into bloom. That bloom of that lotus wants to come into bloom. But first, it has to rise up out of that muck. That's part of it. You don't get to bypass that part of the experience. All right. You can't just love and light it away. We have to be willing to pull ourselves up out of that muck and, wash it off and enter the new cycle brand new. And I do feel like there is one more shocking moment coming your way. But we know nothing's shocking at this point. Okay. So I think some of you are really like bracing yourselves for something that's not going to be as big of a deal as you think it's going to be. Maybe you think that the move that you're about to make, that it's going to shock a lot of people and that's really going to cause disruption for you. I don't think it's going to shock them. I think these people have anticipated this. Likewise, whatever's coming towards you, maybe you've built up a lot of fear or anxiety around it. Maybe you feel like you're not going to be able to handle it. Maybe you feel like you don't want to hear the truth or you can't handle the truth or that can't possibly be true. But there's some part of you that already knows. And so I feel like this last tower that's got to fall, which is like the clearing out of the shadow work, finding a sense of closure with the past, I don't think it's anything that you're not prepared for. And I think there's this big message coming through of like, you got to give yourself more credit than that, collective. Okay. So, and don't throw your pearls before swine, right? Don't waste your time sweating the small stuff, the stuff that doesn't matter. Don't get caught up in anything that wants to keep you attached to old drama or just points of conflict or division. Like that's only going to hold you back. Don't sling mud. If people are slinging mud, don't sling mud with them. Don't get in there and get dirty. Like it's time to really like let all that go and move forward and head toward what leads you to that unfoldment, so you can get to that bloom, right? So you can unfurl those petals so you don't have to stay tight in the bud, guarded. You can like open up to the new life and beauty that wants to come in. So what does the collective need to know about this? Like walking away from everything that is just like held them back, everything they're afraid to walk away from now, these towers they're resisting, the things that they're having a hard time releasing, and even stuck positions, ways of seeing things, anything that's inhibiting them from moving forward, what's inhibiting them and what are they blocking from coming in, and how can they transform this? Yeah, okay. I'm telling you, so much of it is around relationships. So much of it is around relationship. Mm-hmm. So wild. This is definitely, it's a love story this week, okay? I don't know what to tell you all. Love front and center, relationships front and center. We got the cat lady in reverse with vigor in reverse. A lot of you are in a position where you just feel like you've been through too much, you know? You've been through too much in the love department. A lot of you have started kind of this new dialogue with yourself. It's a new story you're telling yourself about, oh no, I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm happy being on my own. I'm too tired. I just would rather be single. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm perfectly fine just, being on my own, doing my own thing, single for life, bachelor for life. It's all good for me. I think maybe you went through a really gnarly breakup. It was really rough. You felt really abandoned in this situation. It hit you really hard. Some of you have had a hard time, like officially cutting the cord, walking away from a relationship. You've been hoping that this thing could, have new life breathed into it. And, some of you have really held on so long that it's starting to wear you out. It's starting to wear you out. And you're really starting to realize that you're not happy being in this position and you're not happy being alone within a relationship. That doesn't work. And for some of you, this is just like finally melting your resistance to officially letting this thing go, finally releasing it. And maybe taking a little time to kind of pour back into yourself. Because I think some of you really tried very hard to rescue a relationship, that just didn't want to be rescued. But here's the irony. It's like once you let this thing go, or once you release your attachment, okay, to a relationship turning out a specific way, once you finally just feel some peace, with being on your own, being in your own energy. Let it be okay that something didn't work out the way you thought it would, okay? Let it be okay that this person hasn't wanted to talk to you, that this person hasn't wanted to come around. There's something about, I'm telling you, it's the desperation quotient, okay? Some of you all out there are too desperate. You're so desperate to just have somebody, anybody in your life that the shit you're putting up with is absolutely ridiculous. It's wearing you out. It's not giving anything back to you. You may as well be alone. You're already alone in this relationship. And it's ironic. It's because this place card you're holding for this thing that you're just refusing to release, because if I just try a little harder, maybe just maybe it can be what I want it to be. But you're lying to yourself. You're just chicken. You're scared. You're scared to let this thing go, even though it's wearing you out. The irony is the minute you release it, that's when you move into your empowerment, you face your fears, and there's a new beginning for you. You step into this king energy, or there's a king coming your way, big Leo energy. Again, I have to bring up that Aries point, that comes in July, start of Leo season, I'm really feeling it. But yeah, there's something here about, moving away from what doesn't feel like home. There's something you've attached yourself to that you don't feel at home in. You feel like odd man out here. You feel like you don't belong. It's got big, like one of these things is not like the other one involved, vibe kind of involved here, But look, you move away from that, what do we get? The queen, the king, they come into alignment, okay? You got to take an action though. One leads to the two, okay? You got to take that action, and look at this. You come into alignment with someone who feels like kindred to you. And it has everything to do with shedding that skin, trusting your intuition, trusting your instincts, operating on blind faith, having the courage to do that, to just move toward what feels right to you and shoot the shot. Go ahead, shoot for the moon. Don't be in this position where you're so quick to settle for some kind of artificial happiness that won't really fulfill you, or you're going to miss out on the sweet reward. And what's that sweet reward? We're going to do a cut of the deck energy. Sagittarius could be factoring in strongly there. Ooh, this came up in a read a few weeks ago. You're going to get your keys. Be on the lookout for your keys this week, collective. They're coming in. You're going to be given keys this week that are going to let you know what door you're supposed to open. They will inform you of the action you need to take and what door you are ready to step through now. Be on the lookout for it. It's coming in.